So, live screen printing. It's kind of the cool thing to do right now in the screen printing world. You set up at an event, whether that's a convention, trade show, company gathering of some sort, whatever it is, you set up at the event and you just start printing t-shirts live in front of people. It's actually a great marketing tool because the general public is so bewildered by screen printing, but they're so fascinated by it. They're not used to seeing their shirts printed in front of them, and they're certainly not used to seeing things done the old-fashioned way. It's almost like a carnival act, right? Step right up, folks, and see the amazing sweaty screen printer. He'll put a fancy image on a t-shirt. And like some carnival acts, live screen printing isn't really for the faint of heart, because if you're a screen printer, you know how much work and preparation goes into screen printing. There's a lot that goes into it, and a lot that can go wrong, which brings me to my first live screen printing gig. I just got done with the Central Florida Comic Con in Lakeland, Florida. It's a relatively small comic convention. It's nothing like the giant comic conventions like in San Diego or New York, and it's run by a friend of mine who needed some shirts pre-printed for his VIP package. You may have seen those in a previous video of mine, so I printed those, and at some point it was decided that I would also offer live screen printing at a booth at the show. And I gotta say, I was stoked to do this because seeing screen printers at comic conventions is kind of what got me into screen printing to begin with. But I was also terrified because I'm still kind of new to screen printing and I'm only used to doing it in my own space. You know, what happens when I add onlookers to the equation? What happens if a screen breaks? What if I run out of shirts? What if I run out of ink? What if my equipment malfunctions? So many what ifs. A lot of things can go wrong in a live screen printing environment. So I found that the best way to go about it was to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. The first thing that I did was I made 2 screens for every design that I had. That way, if a screen broke, I had a backup. I had 6 designs total, so I needed 12 screens. Plus 2 more screens for the signage. I decided to use screens as part of my signage. I thought it would be like a cool decorative element if I just had that on the table. It said my price, the sizes, etc. Now, you guys know that I only have a 4-color press. So why did I think it was a good idea to offer 6 designs? Well, to be honest, it probably was not a good idea to do that. I guess I was just overly ambitious. I figured, they're 1-color designs. I could easily just switch them out. And yeah, in theory, that is easy to just switch out a 1-color design, just make sure it's centered on the palette. I found myself switching out screens more than I wanted to, so I guess that's something I might want to keep in mind next time I do this. For curing, I figured the easiest thing to do would be to just bring my heat press, which I know is not the most ideal situation for curing ink, but I was working out of a 10x10 booth, and my conveyor dryer, while small, is not small enough to fit in that space. And my flash dryer, I didn't really like the idea of bringing that because it just gets insanely hot, especially when I just leave it on, and I would have to leave it on for like 8 hours straight. I just didn't really like the idea of that, so I kind of just settled on my heat press. Something I was really worried about was using my printing press on a standard fold-out table. The Riley Hopkins 150 that I have is fairly heavy, and when you add the pressure of actually printing, I feel like that might be just a little bit too much for a regular fold-out table to handle. So I ended up building a small table using scrap wood that I had, just 2x4s, a piece of plywood. Ended up being very sturdy and, problem solved. Another thing that I got hung up on for a while leading up to the show was how many shirts should I have with me? How many blanks should I bring? Also, what brand should I have? What colors should I offer? I ended up going with the Gildan Soft style because it's a affordable, lightweight, semi-fitted type of shirt. Nothing fancy, but I figured most convention attendees don't really care about the style of shirt you're using as long as it's not something too heavy or loose fitting. I went with a few just essential colors: white, black, blue, red, and gold. And I ordered about 10 of each size, small through XL, and then a few 2XL and 3XL. But I actually ended up ordering too many shirts. I actually still have quite a few shirts left over. So maybe next time I order less shirts or maybe don't offer as many colors, something else to think about for the future. Attendance for the show was pretty good. I'd say that traffic was flowing pretty steadily both Saturday and Sunday. But that's not to say that I was super busy the entire time. In fact, about half of my time I was kind of just standing around waiting for somebody to buy a shirt. And then I would get really busy and print a bunch of shirts all at once, multiple customers waiting in line. And then after that, I would be slow again. It was a lot of back and forth, back and forth. And I think what it is when people see me actually printing, they look at it and they go, oh, I get it. He's printing shirts. Oh, that's cool. I want to get one, right? But if I'm not doing anything and I'm just standing there not printing, then people just kind of ignore the booth. But despite that, I would say that I still had a good, surprisingly profitable weekend. I went in hoping to break even, as I do with most comic conventions that I do where I sell art. I just want to break even. If I make a profit, awesome. But my main goal has always been to just not lose money and get my name out there. I brought business cards with me. I handed them out to several people. I even found a few business owners, brand owners, a musician needed t-shirts printed for their band. It turned into a pretty good networking opportunity. I think screen printing just fascinates people. Like they know that t-shirts are a thing that they have in their closet. They get printed somehow. They don't just come out of thin air, but they never really think about how they're made. And when they see them being made, they're just mesmerized by it. And that creates an interesting opportunity for us screen printers to actually show them and teach them how shirts are printed. I interacted with a lot of people that just wanted to see me print. They were just curious about the process. And so I took that opportunity to talk a little bit about what I do, how this works. I even explained coating emulsion and exposing and all that stuff. People that have no background in screen printing or design or anything like that are just genuinely curious about how this works. And so I had a pretty good time just explaining what I do. I'd say that if this is something that you want to do, make sure you do all the necessary preparation, cross all your T's, dot all your I's. It takes a lot to pull it off, but if you can pull it off, it's very worth it. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you for watching. Make sure you comment down below. What do you think of live screen printing? Do you ever think that you would try live screen printing? What interests you about it? What terrifies you about it? I mean, for me, it's just the absolute chaos of it all and not being in a controlled environment. What could go wrong? That just terrifies me to no end. Let me know what you guys think of all that. And, thank you for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, all that stuff. It really helps out. And I'll see you guys next time.